you would think that somebody who is now free would not have too much to complain about. And then when you clearly she's not remembering who they let out to get her back.
The merchant of death.
The merchant of death.
Stephen A. Smith made all the necessary points. Nobody is halting Brittney Griner's trend. Since context is important here, let me start by going back to 2025. Griner was a member of the Atlanta Dream. A fever strikes. You anticipated the whistle before she even completed the maneuver since Griner's body check of Clark was so evident. The officials took it in stride after witnessing it. Griner then fouled out of the game, went to the bench, and was seen on camera mouthing what analysts and lip readers referred to as trash white girl or white girl at Clark. Looked into. Nothing resulted from it. No statement, no suspension, and no fine. Griner never really refuted it. She claimed she couldn't recall what she said, but she was positive it wasn't the exact thing that everyone was seeing on tape. What was the outcome of all that, then? Nothing. Nothing. Griner received a clear and concise message. Follow your desires. You won't be targeted by the league. Let's fast forward to June 13, 2026. The same playbook, but a different team. Griner is currently working for the Connecticut Sun, and she has already started running sliding screens into Clark in the first quarter. Hip spinning, feet still moving, body thrusting into Clark's path. That is unlawful according to textbooks. In basketball, that is one of the simpler calls. Nothing is called by the officials who are standing there. She then repeats the action. Clark's movement is totally stopped during the play by a shoulder that leads straight into her chest. Not a call. The referee then calls a foul on Clark after he takes 2 forearms from Griner. Clark just took 2 forearms. Griner then puts Clark out completely on a different play, leading with her shoulder. By now, Clark has a bloody lip that began before any of those plays occurred, and there has been no call. Caitlin Clark did not make any free throws during the entire game. 9 of Connecticut's shots on contact appear to be lighter than what Clark took in throughout the evening. In 2 seasons, 2 different teams, the same player using the same targeted physical technique on the same player, and the league has done nothing each time, according to Stephen A. Smith. That eventually stops being a pattern of poor calls. It's a policy. The referee was identified by name by Clark. This is the portion that ought to be in the news everywhere. When Clark entered the press conference following the game, he did something that WNBA players just do not do. On video, she identified Tyler Nurkovic as the referee. Technically speaking, I didn't require an explanation. It was worthwhile, but I deserved it. The game's delay seemed incomprehensible. Tyler seemed to want to dominate the game, which was absurd. He didn't need to call that point in the game. He granted us a delay game when I grabbed the ball, went off my foot, and left the scorer's table. Tyler is available for you to ask. I disagree with that. In a news conference following the game, she named Tyler Nurkovic, called his call absurd, and claimed he sought to force himself into a game he had no right to decide. Players who make such remarks are penalized. Clark is aware of that. Nevertheless, she said it. This is where it gets very harmful. After the game, the league itself overturned the decision. They discreetly changed the classification of Clark's first technical foul from a personal technical to a team delay of game, which has very different consequences for Clark's record. Why is that important? On the night she surpassed Diana Taurasi, on the night she went 10 for 17 from the field, and on the night she scored 25 points with lip and 0 free throws against a defense running illegal screens, if the first technical is considered a personal technical and she picks up the second technical in the final seconds, that is an automatic ejection. After the game, the league amended it after reviewing it and concluding that the referee had made a mistake. Stephen A. Smith posed the direct question, what does it tell you about the quality of officiating that Clark has been dealing with all season if the league has to reverse its own official's call after the final buzzer? Why does she have 4 technical fouls in 13 games when the player who has been throwing illegal screens into her, body-checking her, and yelling obscenities at her from the sidelines has no accountability? Clark received 4 technicals, while Griner received no suspensions. The WNBA wants to provide me an explanation of that math. I'm paying attention. Nobody is discussing the suspension conspiracy enough. Sophie Cunningham was listed as questionable due to right elbow pain, so she missed the game right before this one. It sounds normal, but she missed the game right after the Washington Mystics buzzer beater, in which Cunningham was entirely off the play. In order to score the game-winning goal, Clark had to make quick adjustments after Stephanie White created her own move in the huddle. A suspension was never verified by the team. White never talked about it. It was never directly addressed by Cunningham. She has a strained elbow and is listed as questionable after one game. She then returns to play Connecticut, scoring 11 points in 2 minutes on 4 of 5 shooting and making 3 three-pointers in 18 minutes. After the game, Clark was questioned about Cunningham's performance, and the elbow appeared to be in perfect condition. She winked and grinned, saying, "Well, she's got a new elbow." She gave a wink. It's easy to see why that wink went viral on the internet.
Going through your mind as you watched that? Well, she's got a new elbow, so she was telling everybody that she was going to make 3 threes tonight. I wasn't so sure about it.
The elbow explanation and the real cause of the absence may not be the same thing, as Clark effectively verified to everyone watching. Stephanie White was standing there when she did it with a smile, a single phrase, and a wink. Now consider the implications for the building's power dynamics. For deviating from the plan, the head coach may have discreetly suspended her own top player. In a post-game news conference, the star player who was being protected by the benched player winked and confirmed the suspension notion. And White's 3-word official public reaction to Clark's unprecedented 25-point performance was, "Good job, C." 3 words for the player who has won 3 consecutive games, who recently defeated Diana Taurasi, who just called out a referee on video, and who went 10-17 while having a bleeding lip and no free throws. Well done, C. Shannon Sharpe has been pointing this out throughout the season. It doesn't matter how many games you win if your best player doesn't appreciate you, he remarked on Nightcap. Respect must be genuine. Additionally, the contempt is obvious when your head coach says 3 things to the player who is responsible for all the positive things that are happening on your team. Everyone can see it on camera. Connecticut's strategic plan and why the referees made it work. In the WNBA, the Connecticut Sun have the 2nd worst record. They are 13 and 2 years old. In the Commissioner's Cup play, they are 0 and 5. Really, their only motivation is to ruin someone else's season. Additionally, they entered this game with a deliberate strategy. A whistle is triggered by foul Clark just below some unseen threshold. 94 feet away from the basket, the Bear gave her a hug. Take her off the TVs. Make touch that is just mild enough for officials to overlook, causing her to half-step off her spots. It's a cold, cynical tactic that works because the officiating atmosphere is cooperative. In just the opening quarter, Connecticut committed 5 team turnovers. In all, Clark committed 6 turnovers. Instead of blowing this game open early, the Fever managed to keep it close enough for Connecticut's physical approach to work, and it nearly succeeded. In the 4th quarter, Connecticut reduced Indiana's double-digit lead to single digits. The Sun continued to score extra points on possessions where Indiana should have been shooting because of their free throw line trips. Connecticut was effectively given a free license to be filthy the entire evening due to the officiating situation. The version of Caitlin Clark that results from the referees allowing defenders to foul her without repercussions is what Connecticut misjudged. A defense would be more troubled by an enraged, locked-in Clark shooting 59% from the field than by a Clark making free throws. She fell 25 despite Connecticut's efforts to create that version of her throughout the entire game. The quiet, the farewell, the complete Clark. Everyone has to watch this moment, even though no one included their highlights. All night long, the assistant coach from Connecticut was chirping at Clark, chatting at her, getting in her ear during stoppages, and participating in the narrative from the sidelines. With the game in hand, Clark passed the Suns bench and gave the assistant coach a full shush, a finger to her lips, right in front of him. She then turned away and bid him farewell as she made her way to the Indiana sideline. She gave the name of a referee. Regarding a teammate's unexplained absence, she winked. An assistant coach was shushed by her. She claimed that making a call on television while aware of the impending fine was absurd. This is not the Caitlin Clark who, throughout the year, responded to questions about officiating in a cool, collected manner. She was done being tactful after 2 seasons of being singled out by the same player on 2 separate teams, receiving a bloodied lip, making 0 free throws, almost being disqualified on a historic night, and witnessing the league overturn its own official's call after the game was over. It was stated by Stephen A. Smith. Clark finally gave up acting as though his patience had worn out. The WNBA needs to give an explanation. Players are chosen by the league to serve as referees. All right. Bill Clark, regardless of the going fee. However, they should also explain why Brittney Griner used the identical physical targeting strategy on Caitlin Clark for 2 seasons on 2 different teams without facing any repercussions while they processed that paperwork. Why did the referee, whose decision the league overturned after the game, call technical fouls on the player who was fouled rather than the player who committed the foul? Connecticut made 9 free throws on less contact, while Clark concluded the game with 0 attempts on 25 points. The league cannot penalize Clark for claiming that Tyler Merkovich interfered with the game when their own post-game analysis revealed that a call change was necessary. Last night, Clark outperformed Diana Taurasi in a game in which she sustained a bloody lip, a shoulder to the chest, 2 forearms, was called for a foul instead of receiving one, had a technical overturned after the final buzzer, called the referee by name, shushed a chirping assistant coach on her way to the locker room, and won by 10 points. Every pundit with a working set of eyes, including Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith, is now pointing toward the same Connecticut building and posing the same question as the Fever, who are 8-5 and have won 3 straight games. Why does Brittney Griner continue to act in this way without taking any responsibility? That question has arisen twice in the WNBA. They haven't.